Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Arning, Director of Communication at Stewart-Haas Racing, and first off, I want to say thank you for your patience. Obviously, it's been a busy 2 days and a busy day today. I appreciate you guys making the time today. Regan Smith is here. Regan obviously has had a busy schedule already. It got busier as he is our interim driver for the number 41 Chevrolet. He will practice the car. He's already been fitted in it. So I ask that you guys take advantage of this opportunity because really once he goes back in the garage area, he's got practice, he's got Xfinity Series qualifying, a driver's meeting, and then the race. So a little bit of background on Regan. He's the 2008 Sprint Cup Series Rookie of the Year, winner of the 2011 Southern 500 at Darlington, finished second in the Xfinity Series point standings last year, and also has some history with us at Stewart-Haas Racing. He filled in for Tony Stewart in the number 14 car last year at Watkins Glen. So Regan, first off, again, thank you very much. If you can just explain a little bit about this day and how involved it is and what you've already done to get ready for it.
Well, I think the obvious thing would be getting fitted up for the car and getting ready for the car. Things happened pretty late last night, and we had a plan coming into this morning of what time to get up, which was quite a bit earlier than I would normally get up. But we worked around all that stuff and. Getting the seat stuff ready so we can go make some laps with happy hour. It's kind of convenient that I can get a few laps in the car at least before Sunday and get acclimated, see where the switches are, see where the buttons are, and beyond that, we'll get through practice. And then for me, I got to focus on the Xfinity car and making sure we get off to a good start to the season over there.
All right, we'll go ahead and open up for questions. We'll start with Jenna, and then Jeff, and then right here in the front. Okay.
Hey, Regan, Jennifer, AP. Tony said, I guess, 10, 11 days ago they had a contingency plan. Have you been the contingency plan all along?
I believe the team had a plan in place, whenever that was. And, I spoke to somebody this past week at one point, and that was about the extent of what I knew what was going on. I've kind of focused on what I had to do to get ready for our season on the other side and really haven't paid much attention otherwise. So, if I was, that's a question for the team.
And you, off the top of my head, I think this is your third last-minute sub. How difficult is that for you, or is it not difficult to jump into a car cold and perform?
They all have their own different circumstances and scenarios based around it. I think, the fortunate thing is I've done enough Cup races where I'm familiar with most of the cars. They have changed a little bit over the years, and obviously this rules package is a little bit different than what I had the majority of my experience in. But, for a Speedway, the fortunate thing is the drafting is similar from the Xfinity cars to the Cup cars, so that's not a big adjustment. Last time with it being a situation where we had 10 minutes to get a seat in and really had to go quick, that was a little bit trickier than the other two circumstances, this one and when I subbed for Dal in the 88. So they all take their own kind of shape and form, but you make the most of them. I don't think anybody wants to be in the scenario where you have to sub under circumstances, whatever they may be. And with that said, if it happens, you want to make the most of that opportunity. And there's some guys that, I don't know how many, we'll say 200 employees, because I don't know how many Stewart-Haas has, but there's a lot of people that have had their hands on that race car, have worked hard on that race car, and they deserve, to still have the opportunity to go out and win that race. And that's what we're gonna try and do for them.
All right,
Thanks.
We'll go with Jeff, Bob, then we'll come down here to Lee, and then Alan and Kenny. Okay.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. You mentioned that, you didn't know if you were the contingency plan or you'd spoken to somebody, but I imagine you had to come down here knowing somewhere in the back of your mind that you might be running in the Daytona 500 in addition to your other duties. And was it difficult at all to be not totally certain whether you were just going to be focused on one thing? Did you have to, kind of keep an eye on the Cup races, thinking, okay, if I'm going to be in the 500, this is how I might do, or did you have to allot any energy to that?
Not really, because I typically sit there and watch the Cup races and do whatever I would do to learn and to understand for my races, for our Xfinity races. So I watch, whether it's Cup, Truck, whatever it might be, I watch all of them when I'm not involved with them and just see if I pick anything up or learn anything to begin with. And I scan different guys to hear what the racetrack's doing, what the cars are doing, what the conditions are causing the cars to do. So it really, knowing that there was some things potentially going on. And again, I can't stress enough that I have really not paid much attention to any of it because I do have, other stuff that I'm focusing on the other side. But knowing that there's some stuff going on really didn't affect me at all, and it didn't take away from any of my focus on that side. And throwing this in is not gonna affect one way or the other what I do in either car. The same goals exist, the same mission exists to go out and try and win both races. Now the biggest difference is I got a opportunity to hop in a race car that's more than capable of winning the Daytona 500 tomorrow, and I want to make the most of that opportunity.
Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. I believe your wife is due in 2 weeks. So did you at all consider not being the substitute just in case? Because I assume if she does go into labor, you'll leave.
Well, fortunately, my wife and I have a very good relationship, and have obviously we're having a kid, so we've had those discussions prior to this even happening about if it were to happen for one of the Xfinity races, and our same mentality for the Xfinity races is going to carry over to Sunday. Obviously, it's a big opportunity for me to be able to race that car. I've asked her to keep her legs crossed as long as she can if she does go into labor, and we will we'll do what we can to make sure I get back as quick as I can if that happens. But I will race both races this weekend. Yeah, I'm gonna tread lightly on that right now because she might see some of this or something.
Okay, Lee.
As far as your success here, you've won here. You came really close to winning at Talladega. Some people might have said you did win at Talladega, but to be able to have an opportunity like this, does it kind of put you in position to at least showcase your talent? Because ultimately, you do want to get back to Sprint Cup one day.
I would say anytime you have a chance to hop in a race car that is fast and is more than capable of winning races. It's always an opportunity to showcase talent, no matter where it is, no matter what the circumstances or situations are. You got to always think that way, and you got to always be prepared that way. I think we have a shot to go out and win this race on Sunday. I absolutely think we do, and I'm going to go out and do everything I can to make that happen. And if that helps maybe get me to a situation where we can sit here and talk about these things and have it be strictly because somebody hired me to drive their car, then that's the goal, is to go prove to people that I need to be doing that on a full-time basis for the right reasons.
Okay, Alan.
Alan Cavana, Fox Sports. You've got one practice to get in there in the car. On the driver checklist, what do you want to check off, or what can you check off in one practice that you need to do?
Well, there's a lot of things we can check off. Just simply, if we only made 4 laps, that's 4 more laps than I would have had otherwise, and 4 more laps of getting acclimated, feeling the steering box, feeling the car differences between the Xfinity car and the Cup car, getting comfortable, seeing the mirrors, seeing the switches, knowing which switches they run, which switches they don't run, hitting pit road once. That's going to be a big thing that we want to take care of today. I don't think we have any intentions of drafting today. We're just going to shake down what the team's got and make sure that everything's ready. There's no leaks for the 500, stuff like that, and get comfortable with that. Hit pit road a few times and keep it simple. But the simple things are the things that actually can sometimes be complicated in the race, and that you need to worry about and focus on. Sometimes the stuff that you might even not think about.
Hey, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. You did have a good relationship with your wife, but I don't know about now. You mentioned your expectations, talk about winning and everything, but what has anyone from Stewart-Haas told you what their expectations are as far as you being in the car? And also, what were your Sunday plans prior to this announcement?
Well, I went to see Tony Gibson last night for just a little bit when everything was happening, so we could kind of talk about where they were at and how the week's gone so far, and how the past, however long, 8 days have gone so far. And he made it very clear that the goals and the expectations are the same tomorrow as what they were 2 days ago or 3 days ago. That they got a car capable of winning the race, and that's what we're going to go out and try and do. So that has all stayed the same, and we're fortunate there's a fortunate side for us and for me in particular of I got nothing to lose in this race other than go out and drive as hard as I can and as fast as I can. And, you know, if it, obviously if it ruffles a few feathers, well, oh well, that's how it is. So, what was the other part of your question? Sunday plans. Yeah, I was planning on watching the race on the couch just like anybody, and you know, whether it be you know, talking to folks through Twitter or whatever I would normally do to watch the 500, I was going to do that and enjoy the race at home. So you know, we'll adjust those plans just a little bit, and I'll have a little bit better seat for the race.
All right, we'll go over here to Marty, and then Claire, Jordan, and then we'll get back to this side of the room, okay?
Marty Smith, ESPN. Good morning, Regan. What, if any, conversations have you had with Kurt Busch, or do you plan to have with Kurt Busch?
I have not spoken to Kurt, and I don't know if I will or won't before everything gets done. Naturally, since he's been driving the car just purely from a race car driver standpoint, it would be beneficial to me to talk to him and say, hey, you know, what can I expect out of this car if I get in the middle of 3 wide, or if I, you know, get stuck on the high side in this part of the racetrack. So, you know, if that opportunity presents, then obviously we'll discuss that stuff. But outside of that, I haven't spoke to him.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. 2 things. One is in the car, the information that you'll be getting from the spotter and your reliability on someone that you're not used to. Who's your spotter? How will that work? And any other information that you need?
Spotter situation's actually a really good one. I got Rick Crowley will be spotting the car, and I've worked with Rick for 2 years prior to me going to Junior Motorsports. So I got a good relationship with Rick. It'll be, you know, seamless. I know what to expect from him. I know how he calls a race. I know how he, you know, describes things in the car. So that should be pretty seamless.
And what do you expect in the Daytona 500? You've been watching. You've been down here, talked to you yesterday. What do you expect to see, you know, all of this aside, as you get in the car and race the race?
Yeah, I expect a different race than what we saw on Thursday. I think with the temperatures, we're talking almost 50 degrees warmer on Sunday than what they raced in on Thursday, or darn close to it. We'll call it 40. The cars are going to drive considerably different. The cars are going to obviously have to handle better. Handling will play a factor in the race, I think, at some point. I don't know, you know, without talking to them and seeing the situation on tires, if tires will play a huge factor into that yet. I know, you know, no tires seem like they did pretty good the other night, but also guys that took 4 tires seem like they had pretty good luck. So I would anticipate the cars that handle better maybe to migrate to the front, obviously, and some of the guys that have not got their cars handling good, that maybe had speed the other night, may struggle just a little bit more. And because of that, you know, it'll be a little bit more challenging for everybody.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Regan, have there been any conversations about Atlanta and going forward, or is this just a one race deal?
I'm just purely focused on the Daytona 500 right now, and you know, helping these guys get through this weekend, and you know, outside of that, I don't know anything.
You guys having any conversations about that?
No, we've got our plate pretty full, just getting ready to run tomorrow. So we're gonna make sure we get through all that stuff.
Okay, we'll go with Jay, then Nate, and then Tom will finish up with you. We want to get him back in the garage area in time for practice.
Jay Hart, Yahoo Sports, and Regan right over here, and maybe this is for Mike. I just want to clarify: are you definitely in the car tomorrow, regardless of what happens with the appeal? I guess today.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Stewart Haas Racing is planning on Regan Smith driving the number 41 car in the Daytona 500.
That's his planning, but
Correct.
absolutely no change.
Stewart Haas Racing is planning on having Regan Smith drive the number 41 car at the Daytona 500.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Most of my questions have been answered, Regan, but I guess going back to what Lee and Kenny were touching on about how good you are at restrictor plate tracks. I mean, your last 2 Cup starts on plate tracks, you were 6th at Talladega, 7th at Daytona. What makes you so good, do you think, at these plate tracks? And what do you think, and what's the biggest thing you have to get comfortable with to be that competitive Sunday during practices?
Well, I wish I knew what led to the, you know, some success on the plate tracks. I guess it's just a certain level of comfort at this style of racing and trying to, you know, outthink guys. I don't mind when we have to race and kind of outthink each other, and you know, there's always the element of something happening that's out of your control, whether it's a plate race or whether not. So I go into it with a little different mentality than some of the guys do. You know, I've always looked at it as these races, you get the same amount of points for these races as you do for any of the other ones. So you might as well embrace them and look at them in a positive light and not worry about the stuff that you can't control. So maybe that plays a part of it. I don't know. Don't know. But what was the second part of your question again?
What are you looking for in practice to be competitive Sunday? Like, what do you have to do?
Well, because we're not going to draft, the biggest thing I'm going to need Sunday is going to be to obviously learn the draft in these cars, and there is going to be some variables, some different things to worry about with the Cup car compared to the Xfinity car. So, it may take me 15, 20 laps on Sunday to really understand where they maybe jump sideways, where they don't jump sideways. I think a lot of the situational stuff of where cars are at around you is going to be very similar, so that shouldn't take any time to really adjust to or get used to. But outside of that, I anticipate it being relatively seamless, and we'll work on getting track position all day. I think we have to go to the back. I don't know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure. So with that being said, we'll have the opportunity to do things to work on track position all day to try and help us get up and get where we need to be.
Okay, Tom.
Hi, Regan. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Just to follow up on what you said, what's the familiarity process and timetable getting in a new car, knowing where everything is and feeling comfortable that you got a handle on what that car is going to do in the race?
Well, I was in one of the Stewart-Haas cars last year, so there's a element of that helps with that process, helps me get more familiar a little bit quicker. I don't know from team to team how similar they are inside, but generally speaking, the switches are always in a relatively similar location unless a driver wants something completely different for whatever reason. So, there's little things that I still may have to look twice. If I'm flipping on a blower fan or a radiator fan or something like that, I may have to just look twice, but I've already sat in the car. I've already kind of seen generally where all that stuff is, and once we get through with practice, then I'll push that to the back of my memory bank for just a little bit and think about that tonight after I get done with the race this afternoon and worry about all that stuff tonight. But it shouldn't be too big of a deal.
Okay, Viv, we do have time. Go ahead.
Viv Bernstein, New York Times. I just want to clarify one thing. You said you hadn't spoken with Kurt, but is your sense that he will cooperate with you or not? Do you have any sense of whether he's going to be a team player in this process or whether he's sort of on an island and not cooperating?
Well, I would answer that by saying he's the leader of this team. He's the driver of the 41 car, and with that said, I would anticipate he would want to definitely help out in any way that he can. So I don't know what his time constraints or anything like that are right now. So if the opportunity presents to chat about race cars, then we'll chat about race cars.
All right. Thank you very much. And again, if you can allow Regan and the 41 team, specifically Crew Chief Tony Gibson, these guys have a lot of work ahead of them. We'll work with you as best we can, but also understand what they have on their plate too. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.